FDIC. Well, we are downtown, just south of High Street at the Mississippi Trade Mart for the Mississippi Economic Council's Capital Day. Got a full slate of speakers today and an opportunity for business people and our legislative and other political leaders to come together and talk about what we can do to move Mississippi forward. And one of them is in studio with us right now, Representative Celeste Hurst. Good morning, Representative.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
We're having kind of a freshman day. We had Senator Andy Berry in this morning, a freshman senator. We've got you here. You've been active and around Mississippi politics, Mississippi Republican politics for a long time. First time as a candidate, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Well, congratulations. Congratulations.
Never planned on being a candidate ever.
What got you interested in moving from being one of the activists that so many of us knew to actually putting your name on the ballot?
I mean, honestly, Lucien, it's my faith. For years, I've been part of a prayer group. We've been praying for our nation and our state, and specifically our leaders, and just praying for godly people to be in those positions and for wisdom. And then one Wednesday morning, never assuming that would be me, mind you. One Wednesday morning in prayer, I just felt like that was something that the Lord was calling me to do. There was an open seat. I'm situated directly in the center of District 75 in Sand Hill. We've got a little bit of Madison County.
That's what I was going to ask you. So it's principally Rankin County?
Yes, as majority Rankin County. Got a little strip of Madison and a little bit of Scott County as well. But yeah, majority Rankin County, and we're situated right in the center. And my husband and I lived in Madison for a while before we moved to Rankin County. So it just felt like I was positioned to really represent those places well. Grew up in Newton County, rural upbringing. My husband and I both did, high school sweethearts, and
that's great.
Yeah, so right there in Newton County, right next to Scott. So grew up, going to Forest. That was the big city. But yeah, so that's just felt like it was a calling more than anything. I didn't.
Now, were you unopposed in the race, or did you have opposition?
So I did not have a Republican opponent,
okay,
which was a huge blessing. But I did have an independent,
okay,
in the general.
Well, what was the experience like? I mean, I've known you for years and seen you at political events for years. What was the experience like going and doing the real campaigning as the candidate? It's got to be a little bit of a transition.
It definitely was. It definitely was, because my husband is Mike Hurst. He's a frequent flyer here on the show, and he ran for Attorney General back in 2015. So we had the whole statewide experience. I was right by his side all along the way when he did that, and I always thought that nothing could be harder than that. Honestly, because it's statewide and you've got to cover all this ground, and then I'm the candidate, and we work just as hard in that small amount of area.
And I honestly think it's harder running in these district races than it is statewide, because people they want to talk to every statewide candidate, but they'll accept if you're running in 82 counties, you may not be able to ask every individual person for their vote. But you run in a House district, which I think still hasn't, I forget what the average number of voters are, but it's a small enough district that they expect you. Every voter expects Celeste Hurst to come over and say, Lucien Smith, I want your vote, and here's why.
Yes. Yeah, you don't have to knock as many doors statewide.
That's right. That's exactly
and
right.
And we knocked a lot of doors. My kids, we have 6 children, 5 biological, and one that we fostered for a family member we fostered for 4 years. And I'm just so proud of my family, because they really did work very hard and help their mama. We knocked a lot of doors, and there were a lot of Saturdays that they gave up and sacrificed.
Well, and it's harder on them. I mean, this having been the spouse of a candidate, but I think it's harder on the family than it is on the candidate a lot of times.
Absolutely. But they were troopers, and they barely complained.
Right.
I would not dare say they didn't complain.
If you told me they didn't complain at all, I might not believe you.
Well, let me tell you, my son, 18 years old, he was great, but the latter part of the campaign, we were putting up the bigger signs. It was during the drought, and getting those fence posts in the ground. in the drought.
That's not fun. Not fun when the ground's soft.
I'm really surprised he still speaks to me, honestly. But luckily, he's very strong, and made it look easy. But I know it was a lot of hard work. I appreciate all he did.
Are you getting your sense? I mean, we were talking a little bit about this with Speaker White earlier. That a lot of people who understand at a high level how bills become a law. Takes you a while to really learn the nitty-gritty of how things actually happen under the dome. You feel like you're getting a sense of that here by day 3?
Not. Nah, not at all. But I will say he did a really great job. He did an orientation for us, which it was phenomenal. Really couldn't have asked for that to be any better. So I think we have a better sense than we would have if we just walked in blind. The orientation was really good. Everyone's been so kind, Democrats and Republicans alike, just to help you and inform you on things and make sure you're not making a fool of yourself.
It's a very friendly, it's a very collegial environment.
It feels like a family.
Yeah.
It does. It feels like a family.
So are there specific issues that you want to focus on this first legislative session, or is it, I remember reading an interview, when Bob Dole was first elected, he said, I'm going to take the first year and figure out how these things work, and then I'm going to try to do what I think is right. So is there something you're already focused on, or are you more representing your district for a little while and watching the process?
Yeah, I don't think I would ever have compared myself to Bob Dole, but yes, I'm thinking I'm going to definitely take the Bob Dole approach and observe, learn, and then advocate for the things as they come along that I believe in. And education is huge. I mean, I have half a dozen children, so clearly education is important to me. Two still in high school and elementary school, the rest in college, which is another important thing we need to work on. So education is huge. Crime, being married to Mike Hurst, and just him being the U.S. Attorney, and before that, an AUSA. Crime's just always been an important topic in the Hurst house, and I think it's important to the people of District 75 too, and especially just what's going on in Jackson and how the potential to spill over into surrounding counties.
Yeah, I mean, I would think if I'm in Rankin County looking at Jackson, you're going to want to see the legislature, and they've done a good job so far of having some interventions in Jackson, but you do have that risk that it starts spilling across the Pearl River.
Yes, and I think what they've done already is really great with Capitol Complex. I think they just upheld that decision yesterday.
I think that's right. I think Judge Wingate.
Yeah. So that was a huge win. But I mean, those are the things that are important to the folks over in District 75. That, and then our farmers. Meeting with the farmers during the campaign was a huge eye-opener for me. Just things that I hadn't really thought of, that they were able to put some insight in, and just to hear the struggles, especially with the drought and the problems that they encountered there. Just really want to be an advocate for them as well.
Now, one thing we didn't get a chance to talk to the Speaker about was tax cuts. The House had a strong position last year several years ago to completely eliminate the income tax. A piece of that legislation did pass last year. I mean, do you have a sense of whether full elimination of the income tax will be something the House will be taking a look at this year? That may be an unfair question.
Well, no. I don't know that I've heard exactly. I mean, there's always rumblings. There's always talk, but. It's definitely something that I would love to see that if it's financially feasible.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I think that we're Republicans. We want to cut taxes.
That's right.
We always want to cut taxes, but not. You can't cut them if you can't afford to.
That's right.
So I think that's what it comes down to, is long term, what that looks like, if it's a smart move long term.
That makes sense.
Because it sounds great for now, but we don't want to be in the hole later.
That's right. Well, we've got about 30 seconds left. Do you have any final thoughts as you begin day 3 in the legislature?
No, not really. I hadn't scolded you yet for making me follow the big cheese, Jason White.
I'm just the hired help. I show up when they tell me to.
But I do appreciate you having me.
Well,
I've enjoyed it.
Appreciate you being here with us, and thank you for your willingness to serve. We need more good conservatives, good conservative women running for office, and was glad to see you do it, and very glad to see how that election worked out. So thanks, Celeste.
I appreciate you.
Well, thanks for being here. Y'all, this is Lucien Smith in for Paul Gallo here on the Gallo Radio Show on